So you'll want to learn how to sell Pokemon cards on eBay, which makes sense because you can make quite a lot of money doing it. Whether you're dusting off the old Pokemon cards you found lying around the house, or whether or not you want to get rid of some of the cards in your collection, in this video today, I'm going to teach you exactly how to sell your Pokemon cards on eBay. We're going to break down how to identify what card you have and what it's actually worth. I'm going to show you how to create a listing that actually gets sales. And we're also going to go through the shipping process so you can safely send off your items to your buyers. Now, whether you're a collector or a complete beginner, by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how to go about this process of turning your cardboard into cash. Okay, so the first step in this process is a little bit of a daunting one. It's identifying exactly what card we have and then obviously working out how much to go and sell it for based on market price. So a little bit of data around Pokemon cards since it began in 1999. There is an estimation of 17,000 different Pokemon cards out there in the market, and there are over 100 sets of Pokemon cards out there in the market as well. So that's such a daunting task for us to pick up a card and go, what the hell is this? And how do I price it up correctly? But there is an easy way. Don't stress about it. There's a very simple process. On every single card in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a number. It's going to be a series of number which is going to identify the card number within the set. Now I'm holding up a Hitmonchan card here, and this is a base set card from 1999. It was a number 7 card of 102 in the total set. Now in this series of cards, you'll find that the first 12 to 13, or it might even be 16 cards, they were the base set holographic cards. And you can tell by the card having a shininess on the actual card itself, as opposed to a card like this that they would class as a common and it doesn't shine. So it's not always the case that you're going to see more value in the holographic cards than the common cards, but generally speaking, you always want to kind of look for the holographic ones because they tend to go for a little bit more money. These are the numbers that you actually want to be typing into eBay to identify your card. It's going to pop up a bunch of search results for the category, and it's going to exactly match which card you have, and you can steal that previous listing's information to work out what generation of card it came from and what the name of the card is. So it's got a lot of information in that number for you to be able to continue on with your eBay listing and work out what the market price might be. So we're going to have a look at, as an example here, at the Hitmonchan card that I have here. This one is number 7 of 102. So I'm going to pull up the screen here and do a screen record on eBay, and I'm going to show you how to identify and then get a price that's going to be competitive for us to go ahead and list up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go for it. So I'm going to type in Hitmonchan, and then you'll see there that it says some numbers that are matching what we're looking for, 7/102. So I'm just going to go ahead and type that in, and it's going to pull up some search results. Now this is all over the place on eBay. eBay doesn't refine the search to what you want it to be, so you're going to have to go ahead and do that. Now what you're going to do is slide down the left-hand sidebar, and you're going to find some filters that you're going to be able to lock out. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on this one down here which says sold and completed listings. And that's going to give you then a look at what the sales data has been. You'll see here that there's 889 results for this card, but we need to simplify it even further to try and get an exact match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to these buttons here, and I'm going to type in condition to be used, because our Hitmonchan is a used Pokemon card. And I'm also going to go to item location, and I want it to be within Australia only. I recommend you guys doing it within your own country to get an exact match of your true market value. So from there, I've now got Australian price points in pre-owned condition that have actually gone on to sell in the last 90 days. And then I want to go over to this button here that says sort. I want to click on the sort button, and I want to scroll down, and I want to click on the highest price first. Now we're looking at some really good data. We've got $199 as the best sale price for this card, but what you'll see here is something that's not quite an exact match. This card is graded. You can tell by the slab, it's put into this little shield, and it's been given a grade out of 10. Now that's not something that we're going to talk about in this video today, but when you're determining card condition, you're going to have to decide whether or not it's deemed worthy of going in for grading. Now, if we were to talk very briefly around Pokemon card grading, you would need it to be, in my opinion, as an 8, a 9, or a 10. Pokemon cards are graded at PSA between a number 1 and a number 10 scale. And what you need to do is you need to assess various condition features of your Pokemon card. You want to be checking for things like whiting on the back of it and on the front of it. You also want to be checking for any scratches that might have appeared on the Pokemon card itself. This one here, I could just tell that there's enough surface level scratches that it's immediately not going to be an 8, a 9, or a 10. It's just a used Pokemon card that's been played back in the day. So if you had a pristine card pulled out of a packet, for instance, there's a chance that it could be a PSA 10, but there could be some blemishes from within the packet that has caused it to fall to an 8 or a 9. So getting a PSA 10 is really, really tough, and I wouldn't recommend, or I wouldn't assume, that any of your Pokemon cards are 10 out of 10s if they have been loose within the packet. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ignore, based on that information, we're going to ignore all of the best sales that you're going to be seeing here, which are going to be graded Pokemon cards, because we're dealing with what we call a raw Pokemon card. This Hitmonchan being ungraded, we use the terminology of raw. So I'm going to scan down, and there we go. I am seeing a direct match, and I'm just using this photo of my Pokemon card on screen with my actual Pokemon card, and I can see that this is an exact card match for the one that I have. Now, there was a best offer acceptance on this card, and it was classified as near mint mint. That's what NMM stands for. So a really, really good condition card, and we would need to assess whether or not we believe this card that we have is in near mint or mint condition to have it priced comparatively to the one that we're seeing here. So we know that about $55 to $60 is sort of the best price, but look, based on all of this information, I believe that we could probably go ahead and list this card up for probably $35 to sit comparatively right in the middle, because if we keep scrolling down here, the cards are selling for down as much as $28. You're seeing a $26 sale price here, $20. But obviously, as you go further down, the condition of the card is going to get worse and worse. So this is where you see the different ranges of price points on eBay, and it might be between $25 and $50, but you would have to determine whether or not the condition of your card was more at the $50 price point or more at the $25 price point. Now, I believe, looking at this card, that it probably sits around the middle. So I think, based on the sales volume of doing the search with the bottom number that we were doing, I think we could go ahead and list this card up pretty competitively to get it to sell for $35 to $40. Okay, so once we know exactly how much our card is going to be sold for, we need to create a listing, but we can really fast track this process by going ahead and choosing one that we like the look of that has already gone on to sell on eBay, and we're going to steal all of their information to speed up the process for us to put our listing live. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to have a look at this listing right here, and I'm going to click on the button that says sell one like this. By clicking on that, what it's actually doing for us is it's opening up eBay, and obviously I'm hoping you've already created yourself an eBay seller account. It's then going to open you up into this screen right here, which is create your listing. From there, you can go ahead and upload from the computer some photos that you may have taken on the mobile phone for your item. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those listings photos right there, and then I'm just going to import them into eBay. Now, when it comes to photos, this is a really crucial step to make sure you sell your Pokemon cards, I guess, in a really quick space of time. Photos are very, very crucial. Now, there is an 11 photo structure that I like to do when it comes to taking my photos, but what you want to be first doing is setting your camera up on a 1:1 aspect ratio. What that does is it makes the photo square, and that is actually native to the way eBay likes their photos to be presented. So if you have an Apple iPhone, or if you have an Android, make sure you rotate it to just a 1:1 aspect ratio, and that will improve your photos drastically. The next step you want to do with your photos is really zoom into the product. So in the sense of this Pokemon card, we want the Pokemon card to fill up the entirety of the square without cutting off the product. So that's really, really crucial. Then from there, when it comes to the, I guess, the pettiness around, well, not pettiness, because it is important, the condition of the card, what I like to do is I like to take corner shots of the front and the back. So I take 4 corner shots of every corner of this card on the front, and then I zoom in and take corner shots of every corner of the back. That's going to help us when it comes to things like scammers that are always going to be potentially trying to send back a fake Pokemon card and swap it over for, I guess, you know, a card that wasn't genuine. Your card obviously was, but they're returning you back a fake one. Or another way that they go about it is they try to send you back a lesser quality Pokemon card so that they can get your better one and then go and get it graded and make more money on the grading. So that's why we need to take really good photos of these cards, so we've got great reference points to determine if we do get a return that there's no scamming going on. We have received the card back that was originally sent off to the buyer. So you'll see here, these are the 11 photos. And if I just go into here, I'm just going to show you that there's the one corner shot there. I've got a top shot there as well. Got another top shot. And then we've got a bunch of corner photos that are really highlighting all of the information regarding to this Pokemon card to show its condition. It really does give you a snapshot of absolutely everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and move around a few things. I want that to be the cover photo. You always want that to be the cover shot. I'm going to delete that. We don't need that one. Then we're going to need an entire back shot to be the second photo. And then our corner photos come into play here, 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 here. So there's our 11 photos. So that is exactly how I would do my photos. It works out to 10 shots. So there it is. So 10 photos, and then we go to our title. Now the title, you want to be front-ending the most important keyword information. So for this, it's going to be the exact name of the Pokemon, Hitmonchan, and then we want to use that code number, which was 7102. But then I think you can get rid of these brackets that I'm seeing here. We don't need brackets because what we want to be doing when we're creating our title is we want to be thinking like a buyer. What is the buyer going to be searching for to try and find this Hitmonchan? Chances are they're going to be searching for Hitmonchan 7/102. So we need to make sure that that is the first bit of information we put into our title. I think a really common keyword that often gets missed here is just simply Pokemon card. I think that needs to go in there if my computer wants to load quick enough for me. Pokemon card, and then I'm going to say TCG. And then some information about this card that we've stolen is the fact that it is a base set, unlimited, near mint holo foil. I'm just going to say holo instead of holo foil. And I'm also going to take off near mint because I don't believe ours is near mint. I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, we've got 57 out of 80 characters. You want to try and get between 60 to 80 characters when you're building out a title. So if there were any other keyword information that you could think to put into this title, you would go ahead and do so. But I personally believe that that is a great title to get this item found and ultimately sold. Now, there's some process that we have to do down here further, which is obviously checking in on all of the information from the previous listing. You've got the category that the item is going into, collectible card games, that is correct. And then we work our way down to item specifics. Now, there are one required item specific, and that is the game. So we could say here, we could get rid of default, and we could type in Pokemon TCG, because that is the game of this Pokemon card. And then we've got some additional optional information that we can be typing in here as well. You don't need to do any of this information. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure none of that is filled out because we just simply don't need to. eBay saying that is an optional additional. This is where the price, the photos, and the title are just the most crucial pieces of information. Everything else in a listing doesn't really matter as much. You could spend the time to put in more useful information into these specifics, but it isn't going to help you as drastically as breaking down those three areas we just mentioned. So the next thing you want to be really pedantic about here is condition. So you want to be saying that it is ungraded, so we don't have the graded slab on this card, it's ungraded, and we want to say that the card condition is, I would say on this card, based on the photos that we're looking at, I would say it's either going to be these two. It's got clearly visible signs of wear, or it's got moderate to heavy damage all over. This Pokemon card to me has been lightly played. It's clearly visible signs of wear, no doubt about it. It's definitely not mint, but this is where personal judgment comes into play, and this is where you can often run into problems with Pokemon cards if your judgment is slightly out of whack. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is excellent. It's got clear visible signs of wear, but I don't believe it is mint. Then in the description, what I want to do is I want to just simply hit Use AI Description. That is going to write for us a generic TCG collection information piece here for us to go ahead and just double check to make sure it's correct. But from the looks of it, this does look to be an accurate description. So you just want to double check and verify the description settings. And then from there, you've got price points. So price points, I'm going to say that this item price is going to be $34.95 based on the research we did. And then it's going to be based on eBay managed payments. We're going to allow offers as well. That's going to be turned on over on the right-hand side. We're not going to schedule our listing, and our postage policy, I'm going to go ahead and swap this over to a $20 international shipping rate. Now for this, you will have the option to select which postage service you want to use. I would be going ahead and turning on domestic postage, and I would be doing a free postage model. So say free domestic postage, just say if you're beginning and just starting out, no to international shipping, and just have a free postage domestic rate. So it's going to sell for $34.95, and then you'll pay for the cost of postage. So that's all you have to do there. I've just got a business policy, which is something else that you can set up in your account settings. You can create these business policies, which kind of just autofill the data for you. So that's why my title for this says free postage plus $20 worth of international shipment. I've just set it up to allow for that. But if you've got the basic template offering you information, it is just simply selecting free domestic standard postage within your own country, and then just where the cost of the postage, which is bundled in to the $35 based on the market value that we were seeing when we were doing our pricing research. Then from there, preferences. We have in the preferences section here a 30-day free returns policy, which is I think something you should definitely do. So go ahead and turn that on. And then finally, I like to go ahead and promote my listings as well. So you've got two opportunities here with promoted listings. I'm always going to be selecting general. So I'm going to turn general on, and I'm always going to promote at 3%, but I do recommend that if you are new to selling on eBay, you should be promoting at 8%. Pokemon cards though are pretty sought after, so if you are just wanting to sell Pokemon cards on eBay, you could probably get away with starting your eBay business at just a 3% postage rate, or impression rate, I should say. And that's it. List it for free, you hit the list it button, and that Pokemon card is now live. It has a great title, it's going to be found, the photos look fantastic, the condition is accurate, and the price point is exactly what the card is worth. Okay, good news. Our Hitmonchan just sold for $35. Well, not really, but it will sell for $35 because we've priced it up correctly. I want to take you guys through the shipping process and a few of the bits and pieces that you're going to need to make sure that you're doing this process correctly, because the last thing you want to do is have a card that might be in mint condition, potentially graded at PSA 10, and then it gets wrecked in the postage because we didn't do postage correctly. So let's go through the process of how to go about shipping it off correctly. Now, first things first, the card itself needs to be placed in what we call a penny sleeve. You've got this little Bulbasaur, Venusaur, sorry, I should say, little Venusaur sleeve there. But this is the penny sleeve that you can go and readily buy online. You can get big packets of 100 or so of them. You want to slide your Pokemon card into that sleeve first and foremost, and then you want to go into something like this, which is a top loader. That there is a much harder than the penny sleeve, a much harder case. So it's penny sleeve and then it's a top loader. And then from there, you could even go and get things like grading sleeves. These are the sleeves that they like to put in when the cards go out and get graded. So whether it's a grading sleeve or a hard top loader or the penny sleeve as well, it needs to look pretty much like that when you go to ship the card off. So definitely buy this online before you go ahead and start selling cards on eBay, or you'll run into trouble and not send off your product correctly. I've just gone ahead and I've cut out 2 pieces of cardboard from an old shoebox. Now I get my free boxes from Bunnings Warehouse, a local timber and hardware store here in Australia, or you could go to your local liquor store as well. They often have free cardboard boxes. They're great to cut up into the appropriate size. So you'll see here that has fit absolutely perfectly onto that piece of cardboard, and then I can go ahead and put this one here on top, and that is going to allow this thing to not break or bend. And then from there, I'm just going to put some tape around the side. So it's going to go right across there and right across there to fully tape it up so the card actually can't slide out. And then once that's done, I go ahead and I send my Pokemon cards off in these envelopes. And these are the medium tracked post envelopes that cost $6.50 from Australia Post when you buy packets of 10. So it's going to cost $6.50 to send the Pokemon card off. When we take it off the $35 sale price, it turns the product into a $28.50 sale price plus the $6.50, generates our total revenue of $35. So hopefully we're buying this Pokemon card for $5 to $10 so that we can make some nice profit on selling it in this medium track post envelope. So I would go ahead and tape this one up, and then I would simply go ahead and I would slide it into my envelope and I'll put all of my details on the back of the envelope, and then I would put the sender details on the front. And then from there, you have on these envelopes a little barcode that you're able to scan off the mobile phone on the eBay app. It'll say add tracking number, and you actually just scan that barcode, and the tracking number applies to the eBay listing, so the buyer can see this little parcel go all the way to their front door. So that is the exact process of how I go about facilitating the shipment of my Pokemon cards. I have sold thousands of dollars worth of Pokemon cards over the last 5 years selling on eBay, and I have never had an issue with the postage send in this fashion. So absolutely no worries at all whatsoever there. Like I said before, there is some opportunities for scammers to jump in and try and take advantage of you if you are a new seller. I think first and foremost, it's going to be the photos that are going to be the biggest thing to help you out in that situation. If you've got clear, accurate photos showing any blemishes or marks or little indentations of your Pokemon card, it's going to be very hard to replicate that on a card that might not be genuine and have it then sent back to you. You're going to generally be able to see some interesting characteristics of difference, and that's going to hold you in good place to have eBay back you if you're in a position where you're dealing with a Pokemon card scammer. I do want to say that because that is a huge thing. Obviously having a tracking number with this barcode is incredibly important as well. If the buyer says that they didn't receive the Pokemon card, well, you have accurate tracking information to show exactly where it is. So make sure you are using a tracked post envelope, not a stamped envelope that won't include tracking information. Yes, you do save a few dollars doing it that way, but scammers are going to get you if you don't do this tracked post method. And look, for $2.50 or $3 compared to $6.50 for the peace of mind, knowing that that card is going to be sent to the correct address, you're going to be completely safe and sound. There is a process of selling on eBay that I do want to have a bit of a chat about. We are running a 12-week selling on eBay challenge. Every couple of months we bring in a new cohort of people. Our next cohort isn't too far away, so there is a bit of a wait list. If you do want to get into the art of selling Pokemon cards on eBay and build a Pokemon eBay store, we can definitely assist you with that and the growth of that over a 12-week challenge period with a lot of accountability and motivation. So go ahead and jump into the link in the description, jump on the wait list. We'll let you know when that gets underway. But that is the process of selling Pokemon cards on eBay. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, guys. Here's another video that is going to help you out with a bunch of value. I look forward to seeing you soon.